Welcome to Chocolate Cake for the Soul, a space to return to your truth, awaken your energy, and leave with deeper clarity. I'm Dewi, and I'm here to hold gentle yet powerful conversation on healing, intuition, and the unseen energy that shape our lives. Whether you're building a soulful business, navigating your inner wounds, or simply learning to trust your intuition again, you're exactly where you need to be. So find your favorite cozy corner and take a bite of chocolate cake for the soul together. If you've ever felt overwhelmed trying to show up online or unsure how to turn your presence into real value, this is the episode you've been waiting for. Please welcome Rama. Hi, Rama. Thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure's mine. So happy to be here.
So, Rama, you've built a successful personal branding company, but in your journey, have there been moments when high productivity came at a cost of inner peace?
I think the question isn't has there been a moment, but how many moments?
How many moments? Yes, there are many moments.
There's been a lot of moments I would recall in the past as well, especially when it was my first year. So even before, I think it was on my first year on building Productivity Boy and Value Creator. So during the first year, we kind of see like this hustle
Yeah.
culture thing, this working too much thing. We make it as a badge of honor, but I think that's
Yeah.
not the best case in this case because I clearly remember it. In my first year, I went to the hospital three times. And when I asked the doctor, why am I feeling like this? He just
Yeah.
basically mentioned, you're just too tired. So in other words, it's basically burnout. So what happened was I went into the hospital, they gave me injections and just basically vitamins and just
Yeah.
electrolytes and stuff like that. And I got discharged.
Yeah.
And for each session, it was like 1 million rupiah. So I
Yeah.
wasted 3 million rupiah for just
Right.
burning out, right?
Right,
So
right.
it occurred quite a lot, I guess, previously. Yeah.
But I can relate to what you're saying because at some stages when I was still building, I'm still building, but when I was building my business, I got to a point where you have to work hard, you have to be productive all
Yeah.
the time,
Yeah.
and no rest. Rest is only when you die, like that kind of
Yes,
mindset,
yes,
right?
yes.
And so I would make myself get sick just so I don't have to feel guilty to rest. Like I remember going through
Yeah, those phases.
those phases. And I also see a lot of the highly productive people also doing the same thing. Like, why are you in the hospital again?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say it's because it's just basically a matter of prioritization. It's like when we see people who work a lot, it's not necessarily that they're giving up their life. It just maybe because it's their life and they really enjoy it. There are some people like that. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of prioritization. The problem is that if you know that you have other priorities that you need to take care of, but then you just keep on working and you leave that behind, it's not good. But if you dedicate your life to building your passion project or building something that you call your life's work, and you really want to dedicate your life into that, I don't know, it might be your business, it might be your family, it might be your spiritual calling or anything in between. If you know that that is your calling and you want to do that for life, and I think that's pretty much okay because we have focus in that sense. And focus
Right.
is one of the very rarest currency that we need actually lately, and people
Yeah.
have been losing touch with it. So it just depends on priority. If you design your life in such a way that you know that you want to prioritize this and that's what's your actual priority and you focus on that, that's good because it's in line with what you need to do and what you want to do. But if you know that you have family, you have work, you have other things, 2, 3, 4 other things behind that, but you only focus on work, and I think that needs to be considered again because you know that you're missing something out. So it's just a matter of prioritization in my opinion.
So how did you get out of it?
It's quite funny because I learned it the hard way. I'm the type of person who tends to overestimate myself. And I just came into self-awareness quite lately. Because even back in college a few years back, one of my supervisor told me an advice that I could not accept until a few years back because she basically told me, stop biting more than what you can chew. And I really don't like that advice at all because why should I stop? If I can have if I can have two, have three, have four, why have one, right? So that's my mentality back then. But then I realized that, hey, life is not about having as much as you want. Because if we see life from that perspective, from that lens, I really believe that there's no full stop to it. We will never feel enough. And once we achieved like one, we would want two. When we got two, we will want three, and so on and so forth. So I think one of the turning point for me is that I know when to stop and I know what I want. I think that's the most important thing that we need to know. When to stop. What's your end game? What's your finish line? Because without that, we're just basically animals. I would say, what's the difference between a dog and a human? If you don't know when to stop, dogs will keep on asking for treats, and that dog would probably not know like when to stop because it feels good. It hits the dopamine in the right feeling. You just want to feel good, feel good, feel good. When to stop, right? When we know when to stop, we know we can put a limit, we can push on heartbreak, and hey, once we've reached this, it's enough. So knowing when to stop. And second one is knowing what we want. Because sometimes we always end up doing the wrong thing, the wrong way, in the wrong time with the wrong people in the wrong location, right? So I think that's a huge problem that a lot of people face as well because they don't know what they want and they do the things they don't like, and they wonder, why am I feeling stressed? Why am I not feeling good? Yeah, you're basically not doing the right thing, and you're not doing the right thing the wrong way with the wrong people with the wrong everything, and that's why we get overwhelmed, I guess.
Yeah. So how did you figure out what is it that you want? Because I think you made a valid point. A lot of people don't know what they want. They think they should want this, or they think that this is what they want, but it's not, right? So that's why a lot of people chase fame, money, you know, whatever, business. And then when they get there, it's not enough. Okay, let's get some more. And they're still empty. And then that's why they get depressed, and then they, you know.
Yep. So in my point of view, people mature when they encounter suffering. I think a lot of us can agree to that. So when you suffer, we tend to mature. It just depends on how well we behave, because sometimes people get suffering once and then they get awakened. People get suffering twice and then they get awakened. But some, they got like banged on on the head like 10 times and they're still like the same person, right? So it's basically being able to wake up as fast as you can, because some people just don't grow up, right? And age is just basically a number.
Right.
So for me, it depends on how much and how deep we suffer. That's what I think. In my life, I think I've been suffering quite a lot since a young age. There's been times where I was socially suffering. There were times where I was suffering in terms of my health, in my mental health and things like that. And lately, as an entrepreneur, especially as a first-time founder, did a lot of stupid mistakes, early entrepreneur mistakes. So suffered financially as well. So I experienced all of that. And I think that's when I know, like, hey, what is it that you want? Because in finding what we want, sometimes it's not about knowing what we want. It's about knowing what we don't want.
That is true.
So lately, I get to the point, I think I don't want to experience this anymore. I don't want to experience this anymore. And what's amazing about that is when you know what you don't want to experience or what do you not want to have, you will know what to not to do. So what we can do now is that, okay, what's the opposite of this? Just do the opposite thing. So that's what I do. So basically, I think it's based on suffering. And suffering, the other side of the equation, for me, it's basically enlightenment. And when we take to some sort of like Japanese concept, I think you might know about it. It's called Kensho and Satori. So basically, Kensho is when you grow from suffering. But Satori is when you grow from enlightenment. So in life, the ratio is like we face more of these Kenshos. It's like these micro sufferings that we experience day by day, where each and every single day we grow up until to a point where we level up. Whereas Satori is basically that one-hit wonder moment. Oh, Eureka! This is what it is, right? Those kind of moments. So I think it's a balance of both. But for me, in my life, I think it's more of the kind of shows that's built me up to who I am today. And I know like how to avoid those kind of burnouts, those kind of like unwanted, unpleasant feelings. It's because I've been through that, so I don't want to repeat it again.
This reminds me of a story. A friend of mine, back then, she wanted to find a boyfriend. She was still single. So she wanted to find a boyfriend. And so she kept manifesting, oh, give me a boyfriend, give me a boyfriend, give me a boyfriend. She got a boyfriend. And she didn't know, because she's never had a boyfriend. So she doesn't know what she wants, like you said, right? She doesn't know what she wants. And she got everything in a guy that she doesn't want. Like, oh, this is the wrong guy. He does the wrong things. And it's like all wrong. And she's like, I don't think this is what I want. But because of that, she knows what she wants. And so when she manifested the next guy, she knows like what she doesn't want. And then she found her current husband and they got married and all that. So yes, exactly. I totally agree with what you said. So how do you find that inner peace? Like, do you have it now, or are you still figuring it out, or?
Right. This is a very good question about peace, right? Do I have it now? Or maybe do people have it now? What I believe is that there's nothing permanent in this life. Right? So peace is just a state of mind. That's what I believe. And after peace comes suffering. After suffering comes peace. So it's actually basically just an interchanging state of mind, I would say, because nothing is constant. The only constant is not constant, right? So after peace comes suffering. After suffering comes peace. So am I peace? It's more like, I believe I know what I need to do to become peaceful. So I just try to make myself a routine where I can be at peace. I know if I do this, I think it's gonna put my mind at ease. I
Yeah.
can be more grounded. So I do have those kind of routines. But am I at peace right now? If you ask me at this current moment, yes, I'm at peace. But maybe after this podcast is done, maybe no. I don't know.
Maybe something comes in.
Yeah, something comes in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think peace is a state of mind, and we can only harness it when we're fully present. If we're constantly distracted and if we're not focused, I think we're not going to be able to dial into that peaceful state of mind. So, in that case, it's a state of mind that keeps on changing and changing and changing. It's just a matter of how long can we retain it, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that's my answer.
So when you help people build their personal brands, I'm sure you've worked with a lot of maybe founders and entrepreneurs and whatnot. Do you see like the link between like the burnout, constantly having to perform, being visible? Like, do you see that pattern a lot?
In those people. So basically, what I do is I have a company called Value Creator. So if I introduce it a bit as well, because I think it's gonna bring more context to this. So Value Creator is basically a personal branding enabler. That's what I call it. We help creators and founders to find what they want in social media, grow their personal branding, monetize it, and scale it together. So basically, that's what I do. And my clients, so 100% of them are personal brands. So it's founders, it's creators, so it's people basically. I'm not dealing with their businesses, but I'm making a business out of them as well. So we partner with them. What I see in them is that they come to me just because of two problems mainly. One is that they have the value, but not the time. The other is that they have the value, but not the money yet. So these two people seek for different types of solution. So I run like a coaching and consulting and agency type of business.
Okay.
So the people with less time but have value to share, but they have money as well, they come to me for the agency offer. So they want their social media to be managed by me. So that's when I come in with my full team to help their social media. And the other one is that they have the value, they have the time, but they don't have the money. So it's like the early founders type.
Right.
So they come to me to be trained by me, to be consulted, to be coached by me. So the main problem that I see between them is, I would say, yes, they do not have the time. And the reason why I'm able to help them is because I help them save their time. Because they just need to come, they shoot and stuff like that, so that I remove all the hassle. But in the other spectrum, where people get mentored by me, I think the most biggest hurdles or roadblocks that they have is basically in their mind. So it's not manifested yet. Where the other spectrum is that, yeah, they don't have any struggles. They just come, they put in the work, and then they're done because they need to do a lot of other things as well. But the other spectrum, when you don't have pressure, when you don't have like time that's running out and stuff like that, they start to have the time to think about a lot of other things, and they start to overthink things. If this is good, if this is bad or not, and blah, blah, blah. So I think that's the two types of struggles that I feel that they are currently facing. So sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's mental. And somehow, if it's mental, I think it takes more toll in our daily life, because mental becomes physical, but it works the other way around too. Physical becomes mental. So it's just around those two. Either it's physical trouble or it's mental trouble.
So how did you get here? I mean, I know that you started with your own personal
Yes.
branding. That's when it evolved to become what you're doing now with Value Creator. Like, how did you get here? Like, you have knowledge, you have information, obviously, that others are looking for. So I'm just curious, like, how did you get here?
Yeah, so to be honest, it's not by accident. I think it's semi-accident, to be honest, but it's definitely not pure luck. So what happened was, it's actually a 7-year journey to be able to get here. So I started back in 2018. So
Okay.
it started from a hobby, and I was still in uni back then. So I just started posting content and content and content. Post a lot, network with people, learning with a lot of people. So at the time, I majored in biomedicine, actually.
Okay.
So basically, I studied COVID before COVID happened.
Really?
So you remember the time where we had like the PCR, stuff
Yeah.
like that. So basically, I did that back in my college.
Oh, wow.
So my relationship with money back then wasn't quite the most optimal, I would say. Not necessarily because I grew up not in abundance. We were quite okay in terms of money. I mean, like, I have a roof on top of my head, and I have food every day on the table. So it's not that type of thing. But I used to think that rich people are evil back then. So why would you won't have a lot of money. Like, why are you so
Yeah.
egoistical and stuff like that? So I used to think about it that way, and that's the reason why I took science. I
Mm.
really like biology, and I feel like amongst like physics, chemistry, and biology, like the big three back then, I got C and D's in like the other two, so I only got A plus in biology. So yeah, this is the way. So the plan was to actually become a doctor to study medicine back here. Because in Indonesia, if you want to do your practice here, you need to take the degree here, right? So the plan was to go to UI International back then to take medicine. But then I was like, yo, if we want to do something, we need to do it the best as we can, right? So the plan was to take the specialist, right? And I was like, it's 10 to 12 years of dedicated study. And I was like 28 till 30. I just got done with this. I just graduated, and like the rest of my friends are already married, they have kids, and they're already successful. And I'm just about to start to step on the world and to give an impact, right? I think I'm not that patient. Not necessarily because I cannot commit, but it's also because I think the commitment is just too high when you become a doctor. Because if it's 3 a.m. in the morning and the nurse calls you, like, Doc, please come to the emergency room. There's a patient. I cannot, no, I'm sleeping. That's a privilege that entrepreneurs and creators have. I think doctors that they don't have that privilege, right? So okay, well, so what's near? So it's biomedicine. I found out it happens to be that my campus is the first campus in Indonesia that offers biomedicine as a bachelor's degree, because it's supposed to be a master's degree. Once I entered the campus, it was the first experience which I have about organization. So that was like the first few early experiences. I have to lead a team, to develop myself, because previously in my school there were none of that. So when I first got into uni, I experienced that. I fell in love with it. Hey, leadership is very nice. Self-development is very nice. So in the second year, I got to become the leader, the head of the student council, in terms of the leader learning and development part. So I got that, learned a lot, made a lot of events, and I was like, I think talking to people is more interesting compared to talking to viruses and bacteria in the lab. So I think business is more for me, not science anymore. I think leadership correlates with business more compared to science, because I get to meet people. So what I did was, with zero business knowledge, I applied for a international startup competition, because back then 2018, 2019 startup was really
Yeah.
cool. So I applied for it with zero business knowledge. It was in Hong Kong at the time, but it was a international event. So people from Europe, from Asia, and everywhere else, they came there. So I pitched my idea, gathered my team. So I was the only Asian boy in my team, and I'm the youngest. The others were like 10 years older than me. They're like Caucasian. I have like my teammates who are from Switzerland, from Germany, from Estonia, stuff like that. They were more senior than me because they have their own company already. They are lecturers in university, so they are some established people. But why would they want to work with me? That's what I thought. I might probably have something to offer to the table. So I was the acting CEO at the time, because that was the only choice. Because in hackathons or in accelerators, there's only 5 roles that you need to fill up: the CEO, the CTO, tech, CMO, marketing, CBO, business, CDO, design. I don't have any experience for the other 4. So how I thought I can give value is through only becoming a leader, because I only have experience in leading a team. So okay, I need to become a CEO. So basically what I pitched the idea at the time was a mental health app. So I almost actually built a mental health startup back then. I won second place. I got an investment offer, but long story short, I declined it. So I came back to uni, because my partners at the time, like, they're abroad, they're like 10 years older than me. They have other things that is quite sustainable for them already. And the target market was Indonesia, so I couldn't do it myself, I would say, at the time. So I stopped it. I came back to Indo. I did another business competitions, won first place, stuff like that. Oh, I think it's not luck. I think I can make it. So what happened was, I started exploring the business side of things. So I interned in a health tech startup, in other type of startups, but I ended up liking creative industry better than the health tech industry, because I interned in 2 places. So the other place, which was a creative agency, I think fit me better. So I ended up getting a full-time position for 6 months, after which I resigned. And by the time I graduated, because I was doing a double job in terms of, I was doing my thesis and I was doing the full-time job as well. Because productivity boy, I feel like, hey, I can be productive, so why not take 2? So that happened. So by the time I graduated, 90% of my connections and my portfolio is in creative industry. So that's why I pursued it, and it became what it is today.
Wow.
A
Very
story that
interesting.
not a lot of people might know, actually.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Pleasure.
Okay, moving on. So I think we spoke a few times, and I know that you are into like meditation
Oh, yeah.
and spirituality. How has that changed in how you approach, life, work, productivity?
Yeah, so I think the biggest change is, I would say not change, because change is a bit, I wouldn't say it's negative, but it's a bit overwhelming for some people maybe. But how it impacted me, I would say it made me more peaceful. Those routines gave me a new baseline in life, I would say. So for people who are watching, so this is a glimpse of my morning routine. So when I wake up, I meditate, and then I journal, and then I read a book, and then I take a cold shower, and then I go pray. And that's basically my four-step morning routine. And in the afternoon, if I have the time, or maybe if in the morning is more of a better time. It depends on the schedule on the daily basis. But those four are non-negotiables, and the other one is also non-negotiable. But it just depends on the day. When can I do it? Because it takes the most time, which is going to the gym. So that's like the five-step routine that I always do daily. What I found about doing morning routine is that it gives me a proper start to my day, and I think it's very sacred. It's very important for me because every single day, if we start our day and just work directly, I mean, like, it's okay. But I think what's gonna poison our mind is that if we are being very receptive to the outside world too early, I think that's gonna be a bit, I wouldn't say damaging, but it's going to alter our brain chemistry even, and it's gonna alter on how we can approach our day. Like, imagine the first thing you do in the morning after you wake up is that you open your phone, social media, and then you check on your WhatsApp messages. I mean, like, no right or wrong, but I think it's just gonna stimulate our brain not in the best way, because it's gonna mess up with our dopamines and stuff like that. Especially when we wake up, our brain is in a very advantageous state, which is the theta and the alpha waves. Imagine we can tap into it and we can use it for something productive. That's gonna give us a lot of edge. So I'm not against working the first thing in the morning. I'm not against it, but I'm against, like, you opening your messages, being receptive, like consuming, not producing. If you consume the good thing, then it's good. We read book, right? Or we like watch a good episode of podcast while we're unwinding, while we're getting ready for the day and stuff like that. That's okay. But social media, WhatsApp messages, and those things, I think it's not gonna be the best option, I would say. So we need to use our mornings. This is what I believe. We need to use our mornings for production, not for consumption. And we can do the consumption part when our energy levels drop at the end of the day. So that's what I basically do. And I feel like that's been helping me a lot lately.
I'm just curious though, this is just a random thought that just came to my mind. So you are, I would say, very successful at what you do.
Still trying to, for sure.
The way I see it is like you figured something out
Oh,
that
okay,
many
okay.
others don't, right? Like you have an edge. Like there's something that you
There's just
kinda-
something. There's just something. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, like, what is it like? How do you do it?
This is quite funny, but I think it's my life philosophy. I think a few years back, 1 or 2 years ago, I would say, when my company wasn't doing really well. So let's not get into the details because it's gonna be another episode. But so what happened was the company wasn't doing the best. So with the nature of my work is that I can actually go solopreneur. So let me give you a context first, and I'm gonna add on to how I approach things. So I almost dropped my company, and I almost just, why not become a solopreneur? Because I'm pretty sure that I can make, like, if we put it into rupiah, like 500 million rupiah, I can do it solo without having a team.
Right.
And profit margin is going to be 90 to 95%. As a 25 years old back then, having 400 million rupiah every single month, like in 1 year, how much is that going to be? That's a huge money. I don't even take like how many percent of that for my monthly salary right now. So that's just so crazy. So that's an option for me to just drop the company and do it solo.
Right.
So I consulted to my dad. This is something that he told me that shook my world, to be honest, because it opened up my eyes. I told my dad. So dad, I explained to him the condition. So what are your thoughts? 500 million rupiah, that's not bad at all for a 25-year-old. I mean, like, that's quite crazy, especially if I tap into the international market. I'm pretty sure I can make 2x or 3x of it, like 100K per month. Like, that's crazy for a 25-year-old in Indonesia, especially. His answer was, yeah, you're gonna be pretty much set if you make 500 million rupiah per month. And then he mentioned, the keyword was, you are going to be pretty much set. You are. You. So it's only going to be me who is set. If I make 500 million rupiah per month, yes, I'm gonna be set for life. But it's only going to be me. I cannot help others to do other things as well. I cannot bring positive impact to others if I'm only thinking about me. Like, how selfish am I? How selfish I am to only be thinking about me. Since then, it's like a Satori moment. I think my life is not just about me. I think I want to do something. That's my calling, I would say. I don't know if it's life purpose, life calling, or whatever it is. But I know if I imagine myself in 50 years, in 30 years, in 40 years, making it in life, having a lot of money, having a huge mansion in the Bahamas or something like that, but I live there alone, life is going to be so lonely. And I think that's going to be very fruitful of a life that I'm going to live. I still want a mansion. I still want a Bahamas. No, no. I still want to live a good life. But having people with me, the right people, the right location, the right timing, and doing the right work, I think that's what's most important for me.
Yeah.
So I think I know that. And the piece that sticks each and every of those elements and aspects together, I think it's value for me. So that made me think, so what's my value in life? And that's why I named my company Value Creator, right? Because the end goal for me is to be able to help value-driven individuals to put out valuable content, to make value-driven content go viral. So that's my philosophy. So in anything that we do, at least contribute positive to the society. In anything that you do, make sure that it helps anybody, or at least yourself. So it should help you, it should help the others to become a better person, not the other way around. So that's my, kind of like my life mission, I would say. If I may borrow a good friend of mine's, he has this on his bio. It's really cool. When I die, I want to be remembered as a man of value. So basically, that's something that I strive for as well. But I cannot use it because he used it already. So I'm still thinking about what my next bio gonna be. But it's kind of like that. So I know my value and I know what I want to pursue.
So what are your thoughts around aligned action? I think we talked about meditation, we talked about that. And how has that maybe impacted in the way of you taking an aligned action?
Yeah, I think alignment. Maybe you can also share later, like, what do you mean by alignment? Because I think you might have a different approach or maybe like different thinking about how it works. But for me, alignment is basically doing the right thing, the right way, the right time with the right people. So that's alignment for me. And when we break it down to the productivity equation, so I used to have this productivity equation 3 years ago because I teach productivity back then. Now still, but I focus more on personal branding. So I have this thing called hierarchy of productivity. So the most bottom part is like a pyramid. So the most bottom part is called time management. The second part is called energy management. And the third part is called focus management. And each and every single one of them are interdependent with one another. They're independent, but they're codependent.
Right.
So if our energy management is bad, our focus and time is going to be compromised.
Right.
If our time management is bad, the other two is also going to be compromised.
Right.
So doing the right thing, the right way, it's about focus.
You're doing the right thing, and the right way is about focus. Okay.
With the right people, it's about the energy. And the right time, the right location is about the time management for me. Because where we work and when we work, it matters a lot. For example, there's something called chronotypes. People always say night owl, morning lark, but it's actually not that simple because we have actually 4 chronotypes or archetypes for like our sleep-wake optimization. There's bear, there's lion, there's wolf, and there's dolphins. So maybe we can get into details if you want to later. But basically, we operate in 4 different ways. Like each person has their own chronotype. The bear are the ones that are the most normal in a sense, like to the social norm, because we wake up at 7 and we sleep at 10. Like, so we wake up when the sun rises and we sleep when the sun sets, right? And lion is kind of like bear, but they wake up early and they get more active early. So they wake up at 5, at 6, and they get really, really drained when it comes to like early evening. So like 6 p.m., they're already going to be drained. So they cannot work at night. There's going to be wolf, the night owls, the people who get more creative at night. And there's going to be dolphins as well, the people who are light sleepers. So these chronotypes are the type of people who might have like some sleeping problems, like they might be light sleepers, things like that. So these are the 4 chronotypes. We need to know when to work so we can work the most optimal, especially if we build a business. Like some people might work better in the morning, some people might work better in the evening. So we need to balance it. So when we work is important. Where we work is also important. If we work in a messy desk, we tend to get easily distracted. We want to focus and then, so messy, things like that, right? So that's why it's advised when you want to work, just put in front of you what you need. If you only need a laptop, just use that laptop, right? So that's some things that are important. And that's the reason why this might sound a bit woo-woo, but energy matters in work, I would say. Because if you work in your house, you might feel tired. You might feel, I just want to relax. Because your house is meant for you to wind down. It's meant for you to relax. But once you go to your office, you feel energized. Or when you go to a certain cafe, you feel relaxed. When you go to another cafe, you feel focused. So it depends on the energy, right? On how we set up our workspace. And then the energy as well. The energy aspect of it is very important because it deals with working the right people, working with the right people. Some people are energy drainers, some people are energy vampires, right? And it also works with what we do to maintain our energy.
Right.
Do we get enough sleep? Do we get enough food? Are we interacting with the right people? And then there's focus, which is the most important because these two, in the bottom one, I think if we compare to focus, focus is the most important one. It's the most important out of the three, in my opinion. If you have time, but if you can focus, it's meaningless. You might have 24 hours, but if you can only focus for 1 minute, you just wasted 23 hours and 59 minutes. Congrats, right?
Right.
But then if you have energy, but you don't focus, you're going to use your energy the wrong way.
Yeah.
So that's my
Yeah.
take on it. Time, energy, focus.
Time, energy, focus. I like it. Last question. So, how do you define success today?
Somehow this is the most cliche question, but it's the hardest question. I think we
Yeah.
can agree with that.
Yes. And maybe how has that definition of success changed maybe with time and
yes.
as you evolve?
Yes, so 2 years ago, it would be very different because I was thinking of things, achievements, and success in a very materialistic kind of way. But lately, it's been shifting quite off towards the spiritual way in a sense. Like, to be blatantly honest with you, I'm the type of person that don't really like the bling bling lifestyle. So I'm not a huge fan of sports car. I'm not a huge fan of watches and stuff like that. But I don't want to not to be able to afford it.
Right.
Meaning is that I want to not have it by choice, not by inability to afford it. You know what I mean? Because some people say, oh, I don't want a Ferrari. It's not because you don't want a Ferrari. It's because you cannot afford a Ferrari. It's totally two different things.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want a Ferrari. Fine, just ride your Agia, right? Because that's my car back then. So how I see success back then, it's of course gonna be very related to in terms of I would say how much I make. I would say it used to be very correlated with, in marketing, there's something called eternal market. So health, wealth, and relationship. So I kind of like used to measure it with how healthy I am in terms of how jacked I am probably, or like how ripped I am, or like how healthy I am in terms of the physical look, how wealthy I am, like how much money do I have in the bank. Although I'm not a huge fan of car, but it's a status symbol, things like that. So, maybe a nicer car would be better. So like wealth, like money. And relationship, like the people who I hang around with, you know, these elites of people, like being able to like take photos with someone that the society knows that this person is somebody, like that is something that I used to be very proud of. But lately, I think I'm measuring success with how many people I can help in this life. That's just how much it shifted. It's very weird, but that's just how much it shifted because health, wealth, and relationship is just a vehicle, right? It's just a tool, right? It depends on how we want to use it. You have 1 trillion rupiah. You have like 1 billion US dollars in your bank account, but if you don't use it, what for? I think we need to be able to use every single cell and soul out of our body to at least do something and make sure that it's the right thing, the right way, with the right people, in the right time, and things like that. So for me lately, success is just about being able to help people with what we're good at and what we're best at and make our lives better and their lives better. Because being good, we need to be mindful with it as well. Sometimes we do good, but in the expense of our own well-being, and I think that's not wise as well. So when we want to do good, make sure that it helps people, but it helps ourselves as well. So that's my standing on how success looks like, on how many people I can help in this life through what I'm good at and what I'm best at.
Do you have a personal project at this time?
Oh, yeah. And it's my end game, to be honest. So I know what I want to achieve in this at the end of my life, actually.
Okay.
So do you want me to share it or?
Yes, if you don't mind, yeah.
I think I would circle it back a bit to financial freedom first. And to complete a bit on the context of my previous answer, I mentioned something about spirituality. So I started to think freedom in terms of 3 different things. The first step of freedom is, of course, financial freedom, because we need to be able to fulfill our survival needs first. But when we talk about financial freedom, every single people, like lately, like the Gen Zs, the millennials, they always want, oh, I want to be financially free. But how much is financially free for you? They don't calculate that. And that's like, how can you know you're free when you don't even know your freedom number?
Right.
So I know my freedom number. This is how much I need to earn by this lifetime. I divide it per year, I divide it per month. It comes to 50 million rupiah per month for me at the season of my life. not yet married, still living with my parents. 50 million rupiah. That's how much is very much for me already. I mean, like, I don't even spend that much. I only spend on food and on gym. Like, that's only my spending, to be honest, because I still sleep in my parents' house, right? And even my salary, I don't even take as near that. I still pay some of my employee more than what I pay myself because I'm simply okay with that already, so I don't need that much. Okay, so in this case, I would say I'm kind of like semi-financial free. Why? Because I said semi, it's because I still need to actively work on it. But if I want to take 50 million rupiah every single month from the bank, can I? I can. So I think I'm in that level already. So I'm semi-financially free. But after somebody's financially free, what comes next? It's time freedom and it's location freedom, in my opinion. Because if you can make 50 million rupiah per month, but you're still working in a company, you're still bound by the time and the location. You need to work from the office, you have to clock in and clock out. But due to the nature of my quadrant, which happens to be entrepreneur at this time, because there's employee, there's self-employed, there's entrepreneur, there's investor. I'm an entrepreneur at this time. That comes by as the reward already. I'm already location free, I'm already time free. So matter of fact, like this afternoon, I can come here. It's a proof of that, right? But then it comes to the last part. The last part is the most important because if we don't have the last part, the second and the first part is meaningless. And the last part is actually mind freedom, the freedom of the mind. It's meaningless. If we have a lot of money, we can go to the Bahamas anytime we want, but our mind is still stressed. We cannot enjoy the moment. We cannot be present in the Bahamas. Our body is in the Bahamas. Our body is in Egypt, is in Ireland, is in Turkey, is in anywhere else in the world. But our mind is in Jakarta, is in BSD, thinking about work. We cannot enjoy the moment.
Right.
So mind freedom is the most important thing for me. And from my perspective, how to achieve mind freedom? My choice of vehicle is through spirituality. So spiritual freedoms helps with mind freedom. So my end goal is actually to hit that financial number. I just take like, I don't know, just as much I need to live. The rest, I will donate it. First, before I donate the rest of it, I will give it to my beloved family, of course, because I have an aspiration. If I want to deep dive to spirituality, I need to be able to have the means to support people who I am attached with. In this case, is my family, because I'm only attached with my family as of now. And maybe later my team, my employees, things like that. So I need to be able to leave a good chunk of amount for them. An easy way to calculate it is that my end goal is that I need to be able to retire 2 of my generations below and I can be set for life. So that's the threshold for me. I need to be able to retire 2 of my generations below and okay, I can do whatever I want. And once that happens, I will fully dedicate my life to spirituality. So that's actually the end goal. So how I donate the money, I hope I don't jinx it because it might get jinxed. But I believe that anything in life is also ever changing. So this might change tomorrow, next month, or maybe next year. But for now, my goal is that I want to donate all the money and it's going to be used to build some sort of wellness center. So where we can elevate ourselves in terms of health, wealth, and relationship. So that's going to be the wellness center about. You can do meditation there, you can go to the gym there, you can do cold plunge sauna, you can do Pilates, you can do yoga, you can, I don't know, in some wild setting, there is going to be waterfalls, there is going to be a forest, there is going to be a beach in front. So I don't know where you can find that place, but I'm going to find it. So build a wellness center where people can go deep in themselves and find the world that's actually not outside, but inside themselves. So that's going to be the dream wellness center. And if possible, since I'm a Buddhist, so also a temple. I hope I can ascend after I do all that. So that's the end goal for me, I would say.
Wow, thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing and just being very authentic and
Thank you. Likewise, likewise. Thank you for having
so
me.
much.
So fun. There were some questions and some answers that I think I haven't shared somewhere else publicly. So happy to share it here.
Wow, that's such an honor.
Thank you for sharing this sacred pause with me today. If something in this episode stirred your heart or softened your edges, I'd love for you to subscribe, like, and share with someone you love, and leave a kind review. It helps this soul space reach those who need it most. Until next time, may you trust your inner voice, nourish your spirit, and treat yourself to something sweet.